You went from being, I think it's fair to say a Ron DeSantis supporter, promoter during the primary process to a full-on Trump supporter now. That was something, those of us who listen to you know you were saying you would do that all along. You were saying, I'd rather have DeSantis, but I'll support Donald Trump if he wins it. So it shouldn't come as a surprise, but it has come as a surprise to some. Explain that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, again, why, as you say, why it's surprising that I voted for Donald Trump in 2020. The Republican primaries were over effectively after Iowa. And once President Trump had locked up the nomination, it's time to, get on the bus because it's either Trump or it's Biden, and there are no other choices that are available. And so Donald Trump was a much better president than Joe Biden. It is that simple to me. Again, I've been very open in my criticisms of President Trump. On character, on policy, on some of the things that he says. Bottom line is that from 2017 to 2019, he was an excellent president. The first 3 years of his presidency were great, and then the fourth year was blemished by obviously COVID, and then the George Floyd riots. So if I have a choice between 2019 and 2024, when the world is on fire, when Joe Biden is not in control of our border, when Joe Biden has facilitated the worst inflationary economy of the last 40 years, when Joe Biden has led to massive conflict in the Middle East, massive conflict in the middle of the European continent. I'm not sure why that's such a difficult choice. And when I decided to co-host the fundraiser for President Trump, obviously one of the ideas there was not just that I was giving my own money to the Trump campaign, but it was also, I think, a sign to a lot of maybe hesitant Republicans that guys, the primaries are now over, and whatever issues you have with Donald Trump that may have arisen from the primaries. And again, I've said multiple times on the show that if Ron DeSantis had been in when the primaries happened in Florida, I would have voted for him. I think he's the best governor in the country, and I think he would have made the best president. But he wasn't the guy. And so because he's not the guy, Donald Trump is the guy. And that means that, again, there's only two guys on the ballot who really have a shot of being president of the United States. And Donald Trump is the one that I'm supporting, obviously.
What do you make of, this weird feeling and messaging by some on the online right that it's a no? Like if you weren't in support of Trump during the primary process, you're some sort of a charlatan if you're a Johnny-come-lately to the Trump train in the general.
Frankly, I think that's a dumb political position. You're going to need as many supporters and voters as you can get if you want Donald Trump to become president again. So, yeah, this sort of if you weren't with him all the way, if you weren't wearing the red hat from day one when he came down the escalator in 2015, then we're angry at you. I haven't received too much of that, but if there is some of that, I would say that's not very politically astute. Donald Trump doesn't treat anybody that way. I'll tell you that. When I had the event with Trump, we had a conversation about it, and he literally said, he said, Ben Shapiro, you're a big Ron DeSantis supporter, big DeSantis supporter, but now you're going to love us even more. I think you're going to love us even more. We're not going to hold that against you. Donald Trump doesn't feel that way. I'm not sure why you would.
Okay, so there were no fences to mend, but in any event, the fence is secure, unlike that at our southern border. I've got to ask you about the recent departure of Candace Owens. I know it's a subject that you probably don't want to discuss, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least go there. She left. It made tons of news. The right loves to eat its own, so they loved this. Either Ben's bad or Candace is bad, but somebody's bad, and we love it. It's like the right likes to eat the left, and they love to eat their own. They have absolutely no instinct for self-preservation over on the right or keeping their own coalition together. It's kind of interesting to watch. But I'm sure that whole thing was rather unpleasant. It's now spun into a debate about whether the Daily Wire is pro-free speech. The accusation is you are until it comes to Israel. How do you respond?
What I will say is that we have a wide variety of positions on Israel right now inside the Daily Wire. Matt Walsh, obviously, is another one of the hosts at the Daily Wire. He and I wildly disagree about what America's Israel policy should be. Matt is much more isolationist. He basically believes the United States has no real interests in the Middle East, and thus the United States should not be providing material support to anyone, including the state of Israel. Matt obviously is well within the sort of group of hosts that we have here at the Daily Wire. So clearly whatever is going on is not about Israel specifically. That's really all I have to say about it. As far as the free speech of it, as I've said before, the Daily Wire is a publisher, not a platform. I would never call for anyone to be ousted from an actual platform, X, YouTube. Even people who are, I think, absolutely horrific human beings, I've never called for any of them to be ousted. In fact, I've called for them to have their accounts restored if they've been banned. That's not the same thing when it comes to publishers. Publishers obviously have to decide what sort of things they wish to pay for the publication of. And when it comes to, hosts and publishers, parting ways, obviously there'll be a non-meeting of the minds. That's pretty much all I can say on that.
Mm-hmm. This is why I don't go into business with anybody else, Ben. This is why I like to just be on my own little island here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you've done really well on that island, so.
Well, it's good to have partnerships. Like I love working with the Daily Wire, and I've never found you guys anything other than pro free speech and the defense of it. Doesn't mean you have to be in business, as you point out, with people, no matter what they say. And I think Candace will do fine on her own. It wasn't a good match. I for one, applaud the separation for a number of reasons. As we approach another critical election, many Americans are concerned. Recent studies reveal that an astonishing 56% of citizens report feelings of anxiety or dread about the upcoming election. But look, I want to tell you about AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC is more than a senior organization. During these challenging times, they fight for common sense. They're going to help eliminate that dread you're feeling. And they fight for the U.S. to return to traditional American values. Visit amac.us/Megyn today to get an exclusive election year special, a 4-year AMAC membership for just $30. As an AMAC member, you not only enjoy money-saving benefits, but also the AMAC magazine, free Social Security and Medicare advice, a trusted voice in Washington, and a community of like-minded patriots. Take advantage of this election year special, 4 years for $30, and be part of the solution. Join now at amac.us/Megyn. That's amac.us/MEGYN. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.